Hi and welcome. This is Barbara from Vienna, Austria. We are working in the Gulla journal for Nancy. This is part 3. Now, please remember this is a journal that I am basically working on as if it was my own, except I'm not going to be using any prompts or writing anything personal in there because Nancy just wants it for inspiration. So I'm starting off by putting this cute little squirrel tag with a little brad up on that page by just putting a hole through the page with my beloved crocodile and I'm just gonna put that right through. I got this tag at a craft fair, so I'm afraid I cannot link those below, and we're done. No, we're going to continue. I'm using this cute fairy tale book that I found at Goodwill, and I'm going to be selecting a page for making a little coin envelope, or maybe not so little coin envelope. So I'm just looking for an image that would suit that purpose, and I'm going to take this one because I didn't like the back anyway, and I thought that would make a great pocket. Here I'm just showing you the information of the book in case you're trying to find that somewhere else. So yeah, so I'm just gonna do what I always do, and I actually mess it up, but yeah, I find a way to fix it. As always, thank God we can always fix our mistakes. And here I'm just measuring where I need to trim it. And did I not trim it? No, I think I did. I must have trimmed it. So I love making these coin envelopes. I don't know why. They are so easy to make. And still I managed to mess this one up, but it wasn't a big deal. So here I'm just folding the bottom up, and then I'll fold the top down, just making sure that I don't fold her face down. And just burnishing those edges. And now I'm just gonna cut to form a, a trapeze shape, I guess, and cutting the flaps off from the 2 outer folds because those are unnecessary bulk, and then I can just glue that shut. The top one I usually have a little bit bigger because that is the flap that's gonna basically form the opening of the pocket, and I'm not gonna be gluing that down. And I always also kind of like, not always, mostly like cutting a bit off on the top there. First of all, I think it looks nice, and second of all, I think it helps to make that flap come down a little bit better without bulking up. But you have to be careful not to cut too much off, yeah, because otherwise the flap won't cover that cut. So now I realize that when I folded the 2 long folds, they weren't even overlapping, so I don't know what I was thinking. But as I said, there was an easy fix, so I just refolded it a little narrower, and now I'm just cutting the top and the bottom flap a little bit off, and now it works just fine, as if nothing went wrong. You'd never know. Well, you'd know, but I hope you won't tell. So I'm just gluing those together on the bottom as well. I'll just glue that up, and that is our finished coin envelope. I'm not even inking this up because I don't really think it needs it, but look how cute that is. I love that image. She looks so cute. Okay, the next step was then to find a page on which I could then clip that on with a paper clip. And I wanted to use one of these plain text pages because they are quite boring. They are from the original book. I wanted to keep those. And to make something to put in there, I wanted to make a very quick tag using this amazing Tim Holtz butterfly stamp, which is also from a craft fair. So I got it secondhand, not a craft fair, a craft flea market, which we have here in Vienna once a year in May, I believe. And so I got this cheap. I would have never bought this for full price. And So I'm going to make a very simple tag with it, but I do like how it turned out. So I'm using my beige marbled cardstock that I stole from my previous job. They would have thrown it away because they were just cut-offs, and I'm so happy to have it. I don't know what I'm going to do when it runs out. And just to make the background a little bit more interesting, I'm just going to glue a few bits of scraps, which are like pieces of book pages and vintage notebook page pieces, and I'm using fairly large pieces just to make it more easy. And I think I'm going to put one more up there. That's also from a vintage ledger piece. Oh, I put one more, I think. So just 4 pieces, very simple, yet it does give more interest to the background, and I really like the way it looks. I didn't want to make it too bumpy because otherwise the stamp wouldn't come out well. So that's going to be my background. And now I'm going to take my Memento Espresso Truffle ink, which almost looks like black, kind of looks like a dark gray, and I like that it's not this jet black. So that's the stamp. Love, love, love how that turned out. And next I am going to, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I wanted to add another word. So I have these words that I have just typed out on my computer with the Word program, and then I just printed it on the coffee dyed paper, and I'm going to use my beloved tearing ruler from Joy Crafts, and I have that linked below as well. I really use this a lot and I love it so much. And I am going to ink around that with my Vintage Photo Distress Oxide because I did want that to stand out a little bit more, and I'm just going to glue that onto the bottom right there in the middle. And I'm just using a liquid paper glue thing from Tisa. I don't know if you have that brand in the States. We have it here in Austria and Germany. Okay, so that's how that looks. And next I'm going to put a hole in the top to make it look more like a tag. And I'm going to take some of my hole reinforcements that I have just inked up with Distress ink. So the top ones have the Vintage Photo Distress ink and the bottom ones have the tea dye Distress ink. So put that on the front and the back. And lastly, I am stitching around it with some dark blue thread with a wonky stitch twice around the tag, and I just love how that looks. And I believe I do ink up the edges. Yes, of course I do, front and back, and that fits perfectly into that little, not so little envelope. And I'm using this cute owl clip. They're called owl paper clips. Those are linked below in case you also want those. And I'm using this fabric that I have. I tried to tear it. Look what happened. Yeah, that didn't tear so well. But I didn't give up. I tried the other direction and that worked well. And I'm just going to use that like as a ribbon, which I'm going to fold around and tie around the end of the paper clip, and that's actually going to hang off the bottom of the paper clip rather than the top, just because of the way that paper clip is built. I thought I would do it that way. So there you go. So that's the second piece done. Next, I'm looking through this wonderful flow journal from Renee from GT Designs. I will link her video below as well, or my video actually, where I was showing you this journal when I got it, and it's so much fun to use. And I'm just going through to see what other pieces I could use that might be different from what I would usually use. So I love that Renee has sent me all these bits, and it's challenging me to use them in different ways. And I've used quite a few of them actually already. And I'm thinking of maybe adding a few more bits to the pages just because it's fun to go through them this way. And yeah, I really like this Mona Lisa flip as well. I might use that. And then there's this fun polka dotted paper bag I thought would go well with that book. Just looking through some more bits, seeing what else might fit to this book. There's this book page. I thought maybe I'll do something with that. And I believe that might be all that I choose. I love this postcard. I actually am using that in a traveler's notebook that I'm just making. Also love this paper. I also used that in another in a TN that I just made, a traveler's notebook. Okay, so now I have all the bits and I'm going to be using some of them, not all of them. And I start off with this cute paper bag because I think the red and white fits so well to this journal, and I thought I would just do a very classic version of this. I'm sure most of you have done this in your journals, so I'm just going to cut off the closed half and I'm going to put this in between my signature. And now I'm just going to do to that side the same thing as what the other side has already. So I'm going to make an opening or a flap like the other side has. So I'm just cutting a little bit on both sides. I'm going to cut away that front bit, the front flap. I'm really just mirroring what it has on the other side. Just trying to make that straight. And then I'm just gonna cut off the corners. So my bag is now double-sided and I can just put it in the middle of one of my signatures. I think that's just fun between all those black and white pages. And of course I wanted to decorate at least one of the sides for now. So I'm going through my self-made ephemera book. I will link that below in case you want to see how I made that. That was inspired by Gail Agostinelli when I saw hers, except mine is sewn instead of glued, and I'm very happy I sewed it because it's holding up so well. And I have these adorable little dolls that I was mailed to by lovely friend Bea, and I decided to put one of those on the bag, and I think she is so adorable. Look how cute she is. And I wanted to add a word to that, so I'm taking a word sticker sheet from Your Creative Studio, from this vintage stationery subscription box that I get every month. And it had these words, and I chose the one, what did I choose? I can't see it now. I'll see a close-up in a moment. Special, yeah. So really love that. I think that adds a lot to the signature. Next, I'm tackling the book page, and since it was folded this way, it seemed perfect to make another smaller pocket out of it. So that's what I did. So I am just going to cut away some of that unnecessary bulk there, this time making sure that I have enough to actually glue down that middle part. So same thing, I'm just going to fold up the top and fold down other way, fold up the bottom and fold down the top, and then just cut away the outer flaps. These pockets are so addictive, so if you've never made them, disclaimer, you're gonna love making them. So yeah, so that's the basic shape. Just gonna glue everything down. Nope, first I'm gonna ink up the edges with my tea dye in this case. So the way I choose whether I use my tea dye or my vintage photo is if the paper is lighter and I don't want very, how do I say it, very very dominant edges, then I will use the tea dye. And if I have darker paper, I really want the edges to stand out, then I will use my vintage photo. So here I just used my 1.5 circle inch punch to make a better opening, and was sure to ink around that as well. So I wanted these edges to just be soft, so that's why I think the tea dye looks very nice. This is another postage stamp book I got from the flea market that I just made my own cover because the cover was falling apart. And I'm using this cute tea cup sticker. I believe this was also from your creative studio. I'm not quite sure now. So I don't like the shininess of it, and I don't like the wide white edge, so I cut that off, and now I'm gonna go over it with some very fine sandpaper, very lightly, just to grunge it up a little bit because I don't want it looking new. So that's what that looks like now. And now I'm gonna go over it with my, I think I used it, no, this is the vintage photo actually. So that's more to my liking, and I thought underneath I'm going to put some fabric. So this is a piece of a fabric from some dress, I think, no, this was from a blouse from a flea market. So sometimes it's easier to just buy pieces of clothing cheap and then cut them up to use the fabric. I do that sometimes. And then I have this piece here that I wanted to add just to add some more colors, I guess. And yeah, I'm just gluing those down with my 3-in-1 glue to make sure that they stick well. I can't believe I'm on my second bottle. This is insane. I just bought them. I'm so addicted to this glue. And even though this is a sticker, I decided to glue it on with this 3-in-1 glue because on fabric I thought that would just hold better. And that's all I think that this little envelope needs. And I did need something to put inside, and I'm just gonna put this cute card on it. This is from AliExpress, and I'm gonna link those below. I'm not sure how many are in the set, but there's quite a few, and they're all very pretty. And now I'm deciding on which page to put that. And I wanted to add that kind of like as a flip up. So I'm going to glue down the flap on the outside. Again, using my 3-in-1 glue. That is linked down below as well, by the way. And yeah, so I'm just gonna leave it like a flip up like that. And I think that's kind of fun as well. Something different than just clipping it on. Next, I'm tackling this cute Mona Lisa fold out thingy. And I was trying to figure out how best to fold that for a page, and so I started off by just making a straight edge with my trimmer and to just narrow that other edge a little bit. And then I thought I needed a tab, just because I need a tab. And I started to trace this tab that I had, because I had made that with my tab punch. But the tab punch wasn't going to work on this little flip out, so I just traced that, and I'm just going to connect that with, to make straight lines, and then I'm just going to cut that shape out. And now I have an attached tab. And I really like that. Just erasing my sketch lines. Okay, now trying to figure out still how I actually need to fold that, because I wanted all 3 sides to be visible. So I think this is what I decide to do. But I only wanted to glue down that little flap on the right because I did want the back sides to be visible as well. And since they weren't as pretty, I decided to cover them up with some vintage paper. So I just tore those down with a regular ruler to the size of 3 sides. I'm going to ink those up with my tea dye and glue them on. So we have now nicer backgrounds. Now I could have left it like that if I knew that Nancy would journal, I would probably have done that, but since I don't think she will, I am going to make just a very, very basic and simple collage. So these are Tim Holtz washies that are absolutely fabulous, and those are from 2 different sets that I will also link below. I got those from Amazon. And just so that those mushrooms are not floating around on the page, I wanted to ground them. So I'm just putting pieces of washi behind them on the bottom, just to make them look like they are growing on the washies, basically. So these mushrooms are from a vintage book that I have scanned and then printed the images on coffee dyed paper and then just fussy cut them. And now I'm just adding a little more washi, but that's really all I'm doing. And then I'm just gonna glue those down, and that's the finished collage. Very simple, very easy, yet very cute, I think. And now I'm just going to glue on that flap to the page, just that little flap, so that I can fully open it to both sides. Also using my 3-in-1 glue for this to make sure that it stays on. Burnishing it. Yep, so that's the flap. I think it's so much fun. I love any interactive elements in my journals. And I also wanted to add a little word for the little tab. And I add the word beautiful because, of course, Mona Lisa is beautiful. Just inking that with my tea dye, adding that. And there we go. So that's part 3, to be continued. I hope you're enjoying this little mini series and hope to see you back here in the next one. Have a fabulous crafty day. Thanks for watching. Bye.